Hey everyone, welcome back. We all want to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to cybersecurity, right?
Absolutely.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive into some pretty concerning, actually, news about Google Chrome
Oh, yeah.
and a new exploit that has security researchers kind of buzzing right now.
Yeah.
So you shared some articles with us, and one of them was talking about this new exploit and something called application-bound encryption.
Right.
It sounds kind of like something out of like a sci-fi movie or something.
Yeah.
But don't worry, we're going to break it all down for you.
Right.
The big takeaway here is that even security measures that seem really, really robust and strong can have vulnerabilities.
Yeah, definitely.
But understanding those vulnerabilities is the first step to actually protecting yourself.
Exactly. And to kind of kick things off, let's talk about something called session cookies.
Okay.
These little bits of data are essential for navigating the web, but they're also a prime target for hackers. So imagine you log into your bank account online. Instead of entering your password every time you click on something,
Right.
the website remembers you for that session.
Right.
That's a session cookie at work.
Okay, so it's kind of like a temporary ID card
Exactly.
that lets you move around the site freely.
Exactly. Now, the problem is hackers can steal these cookies
Oh, no.
and essentially impersonate you online so they can access your accounts without needing your password.
So they don't even need the password.
No, it's like stealing that ID card and using it to walk right into your bank account.
Oh, wow.
Pretty scary stuff.
Definitely makes you think twice about those remember me buttons, right?
For sure.
So to combat this, Chrome recently rolled out this new security feature in Chrome 127
Yeah.
application-bound encryption,
Right.
or ABE.
ABE, yeah. And it's designed to make stealing these session cookies a lot harder.
Okay.
Essentially, it encrypts those cookies so that even if malware sneaks onto your computer,
Right.
it can't easily grab those cookies and use them. It was a big step forward in browser security.
It was, but as we all know in the world of cybersecurity, there's always someone trying to find a way around those safeguards.
Always, yeah.
And that's where this security researcher, Alex Hagenek, comes in.
Yeah.
He goes by Zatax online, and he actually created a tool that can crack this encryption.
That's right. And unfortunately, that's the reality of cybersecurity. It's a constant back and forth.
Yeah.
In this case, Hagenek's tool exploits a service within Chrome called Elevator to get at the keys that protect the data, including those session cookies.
So even with this new ABE protection, a skilled hacker can still potentially get their hands on those session cookies.
Potentially, yes, it is a possibility.
How does this tool even work?
Well, think of Elevator as a kind of backdoor within Chrome.
Okay.
Hagen figured out how to use this backdoor to sneak in and steal the keys that unlock those encrypted cookies.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty clever, but also pretty alarming.
Yeah.
The good news is that this particular exploit does require admin privileges to work, which means Google did make things harder for attackers.
Okay. That is a bit reassuring,
Yeah.
but I'm guessing just relying on that isn't a foolproof solution.
You're right to be cautious. Unfortunately, a lot of malware out there is designed to try and escalate its privileges on a system.
Oh.
It's like a burglar finding a way to get their hands on the master key to your house.
Right.
So while ABE is a step in the right direction,
Yeah.
it's not a complete solution.
Okay.
You really do have to be mindful.
Yeah. This whole situation really underscores why staying informed about these kinds of threats is so important.
Right.
It's like knowing the tricks burglars use to break into houses so you can take steps to protect your own home. That knowing what's out there is half the battle.
Right.
But on that note, there was also some good news in the articles you shared, Mike.
Yeah.
Something about law enforcement agencies taking down a major cybercrime operation.
Absolutely. This was a significant win.
Okay.
They managed to take down a notorious piece of malware called Redline, which had been causing a lot of headaches for individuals and businesses alike.
Okay. I vaguely remember hearing about Redline. Can you remind us what it did exactly?
Sure. Redline was what's known as an info stealer.
Okay.
Essentially, it was designed to steal all sorts of sensitive information from infected computers.
No.
We're talking about things like login credentials for your online accounts,
Oh, those
the
too.
session cookies we were just discussing,
Right.
even cryptocurrency wallet information.
Wow.
Imagine all the damage a cyber criminal could do with access to that kind of data.
That does sound pretty serious.
Yeah.
It sounds like this Redline takedown was a big deal then.
It was a major victory, no doubt.
Yeah.
A lot of people are breathing a sigh of relief knowing that Redline is no longer out there in the wild.
Yeah.
However, it's crucial to remember that this is just one battle in a much larger war.
Right.
Cybercriminals are constantly developing new threats,
Right.
new ways to steal information and exploit vulnerabilities.
Oh, yeah.
So while we can celebrate this win, we can't afford to let our guard down.
It's like a game of whack-a-mole.
Ay.
You knock one threat down and another one pops up somewhere else.
Exactly.
So, knowing all of this, what can our listeners do to protect themselves?
Right.
What practical steps can they take to stay safe online?
Well, first and foremost, enable two-factor authentication,
Okay.
or 2FA,
Right.
on all your important accounts.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's not foolproof,
Yeah.
especially with these cookie stealing tactics out there,
Right.
it adds a significant layer of security.
Okay.
Think of it as having both a regular lock and a deadbolt on your door.
Okay.
It might not stop the most determined thief,
Right.
but it makes it a lot harder for them to get in.
Right. It's that extra hurdle that can make all the difference.
Exactly.
And what about using those admin accounts that come with most computers?
Right.
The articles you sent mentioned something about avoiding those for everyday tasks.
Yeah, it's a good security practice to avoid using an admin account for your day-to-day activities. Remember how we talked about that Chrome exploit needing admin privileges to work?
Right.
Well, if you're not logged in as an admin,
Okay.
it makes it much harder for malware to do its damage.
Okay.
It's all about limiting the potential file out if something does go wrong.
So it's like containing the blast radius, right?
Exactly. By using a standard user account for most of your work,
Okay.
you're limiting the access that malware would have if it managed to infect your system.
Gotcha.
It's a simple change that can significantly reduce your risk.
Okay, so 2FA and being mindful of admin accounts, what else?
Right.
I know reliable anti-malware software is a must-have, but what should people be looking for?
Absolutely. Having good anti-malware software is like having a security guard for your computer.
Sure.
It's constantly scanning for threats and booting them out before they can do any harm.
Gotcha.
There are a lot of reputable options out there,
Yes.
both free and paid.
Right.
Look for software that's regularly updated, has good reviews,
Okay.
and offers features that are relevant to your needs.
Okay.
For example, some programs are better at detecting phishing attacks, while others might specialize in ransomware protection.
And I'm guessing those updates are super important, right?
Yes.
Like those software update notifications that we all tend to ignore.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Those updates aren't just about getting new features or a fancy new interface.
Right.
They often include critical security patches that fix vulnerabilities that hackers could exploit.
Right.
Think of it like patching holes in your digital armor.
So it's really like ignoring a hole in your roof and hoping it doesn't rain.
Exactly.
Not the best strategy.
Right.
Speaking of things we should be doing more often, the articles also mentioned regularly clearing browser cookies. I know
Yeah.
that helps with those annoying pop-ups, but is there a security benefit as well?
There definitely is. Remember those session cookies we discussed earlier, the
Oh,
ones
yeah.
that hackers are after?
Yeah.
Well, clearing your cookies regularly helps reduce the risk of those cookies falling into the wrong hands. It's like cleaning up those digital crumbs so that cybercriminals have less to feast on.
So it's not just about having a tidy browser. It's about making yourself a less attractive target for those digital cookie monsters.
Exactly. And it's especially important for sites where you're dealing with sensitive information,
Oh, okay.
like your online banking or shopping accounts.
Right.
Those are the cookies that hackers would be most interested in.
Got it. And one last thing from the articles, using a VPN.
Yes.
Where does that fit into the whole cybersecurity puzzle?
A VPN, or a virtual private network,
Right.
creates an encrypted tunnel for your internet traffic.
Okay.
Think of it like sending your data in a disguised package,
Right.
making it much harder to track or intercept.
Oh, right.
This is especially important when you're using public Wi-Fi,
Right.
which can be a bit of a security Wild West.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're working at a coffee shop or using the airport Wi-Fi, a VPN adds an extra layer of protection.
Exactly. It helps shield your data from prying eyes on those less secure networks.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
Enable 2FA RAM, avoid using admin accounts, use reliable anti-malware, clear those cookies, and consider using a VPN, especially on public Wi-Fi.
Right.
It feels like a lot to keep track of.
Yeah.
It can seem like a lot, but the good news is that most of these steps are actually pretty easy to implement.
Right.
And the most important thing is to keep your browser updated.
That's right. Those updates often contain vital security patches.
So it really is like making sure your digital armor has no gaps.
Exactly. And that goes for all your software, not just your browser.
Oh, right. Okay.
Whenever possible, set those updates to automatic.
Okay.
It's one of the easiest and most effective ways to stay ahead of the curve.
Okay, so just to recap for our listeners, We've talked about enabling 2FA, avoiding admin accounts, using reliable anti-malware, clearing cookies regularly,
Right.
and considering a VPN, especially on public Wi-Fi,
Right.
and of course keeping everything updated. Did we miss anything?
I think you've covered all the key points. And remember, even with all these precautions, no system is 100% secure.
Right.
But by taking these steps, you're significantly reducing your risk.
You're making yourself a much harder target for those cyber criminals.
Exactly. And that's what cybersecurity is all about.
Okay.
It's not about achieving perfect security, but about making yourself a less attractive target.
It's like making your digital house the least appealing one on the block for a burglar.
That's a great analogy. You know, this whole conversation about the red line takedown got me thinking about something that wasn't directly mentioned in the articles we discussed.
Oh, I'm intrigued what's on your mind.
Well, remember how the red line takedown was a collaborative effort involving multiple countries?
Yeah.
It really highlights how cybersecurity is no longer just a national issue, it's a global one.
That's a good point. We often think about cybersecurity in terms of protecting our own devices and data,
Right.
but it's much bigger than that.
It is. Cybercriminals operate across borders,
Yeah.
often sharing information and tools
Wow.
to effectively fight cybercrime. We need international cooperation.
Right.
Countries need to work together, share intelligence, and coordinate their efforts.
It's like a global team effort to keep everyone safe online.
Exactly. And that's something to think about. Even though we're talking about individual steps you can take to protect yourself, there's a much bigger picture here.
It makes you realize that we all have a role to play in making the internet a safer place.
Right.
So even though we've uncovered some pretty concerning stuff in this deep dive,
Yeah.
we're ending on a note of, I guess, cautious optimism.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
The digital world presents its challenges, but it also offers incredible opportunities.
Right.
By being informed, proactive, and working together, we can navigate those challenges and harness those opportunities safely and responsibly.
That's a great point to end on. Remember, folks, digital security is an ongoing journey. Stay informed, stay proactive, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Right.
And if you ever feel overwhelmed, remember that there are resources available to help.
Absolutely. There are countless organizations, websites, and experts dedicated to helping people stay safe online.
That's good to know.
You don't have to go it alone.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of the ever-evolving world of cybersecurity. Until next time, stay safe out there.